Hello, this is Dave Hurwitz at ClassicsToday.com, here to talk to you about Shostakovich Symphony cycles. Now, usually I don't talk about cycles intact, but happily with Shostakovich, first of all, there's a manageable number of them, 6 or 7 that are at the moment available. And besides that, although a lot of conductors do individual ones, certain conductors have a real affinity for the music and have put a lot of time and effort and trouble into doing complete cycles, and some of them are quite well known. And so it makes sense, I think, just to go through the list to see where we are in this process. First of all, we got the classic Kirill Kondrashin. It's actually available in a smaller box now. These are, this is on Japanese Melodiya, this particular cycle. And, Kondrashin was a wonderful Shostakovich conductor. He knew Shostakovich. His performances generally are fast and lean. The recorded sound is highly variable. Nobody has actually done these works as swiftly as Kondrashin manages to get through them. He was famous, of course, for his original premiere of the 13th Symphony, Babi Yar, and his recording of it, unfortunately, uses the revised text. Not that you'll notice because it's in Russian, but it's still a white-hot performance. He was also well known for doing the first version of the 4th Symphony, a performance that in some ways has never been equaled for its sort of screechy Russian, hysterical, mechanical pomposity. I mean, I love the 4th, don't get me wrong. I really do. I think it's a masterpiece. But, that performance is fast and mean and lean and gnarly, and nobody really has ever tried to come even close to it. Other performances, I think, are a little bit less recommendable because the sound is indifferent. The 10th Symphony was particularly grotty sounding. Some of these transfers, they obviously came from LPs. It's a variable cycle, let's put it that way. And most of them are going to be because of the huge range of music in the Shostakovich symphonies. But it's a famous and historically important cycle that in certain works has really never been bettered. But there are others and others to discuss. So now let's move to the West. Haitink. Now, Haitink's Shostakovich was also wildly variable. He recorded it with 2 orchestras, the London Philharmonic and the Amsterdam Concertgebouw. Generally speaking, the Concertgebouw recordings are terrific. The LPO ones are boring. It's a generalization, but a pretty accurate one. He did wonderful, wonderful performances in this set of symphonies numbers 5 and 8, particularly. They're just wonderful. Some of them, though, they just sort of die. The Leningrad is sluggish. The 6th, for some reason, hangs fire. The 1st and 9th are with the LPO. They're not bad. They're okay, but a little bit dour. On the other hand, in the later works, he really woke up. Something remarkable happened, for example, in Symphony number 12, the symphony everybody hates, the symphony Shostakovich hated, the one that's supposed to be his worst ever. Haitink delivers an incredibly fine performance, the kind of thing that really makes you think the music is better than it probably is. And Haitink was that kind of conductor. He always sort of rooted for the underdog and tried to prove that it was better than we thought it was, and often he succeeded, especially with the Concertgebouw, such a great, great orchestra, and they're beautifully recorded. He also did a spectacular Babi Yar, really one of the great ones, probably my reference recording for that work, in fact. It's such a moving and intense performance. In 14, he used the international text with Fischer-Dieskau, and it was a lighter sort of performance. But in 15, he was back with the London Philharmonic, and that was also a great performance. Very slow, very grave, very serious, but somehow right for the work because, let's face it, it's one of those gloom and doom type pieces. And Haitink's performance, I think, has a concentration that a lot of other performances lack. Kurt Sanderling also took it at those slow tempos, and sometimes was able to pull it off, and sometimes he wasn't. But the Haitink Cycle is worthwhile for those best performances. That's 5, 8, 12, 13, 15. Those are great. They're probably still available separately, but if you want the box, knock yourself out. There it is. Next, Rozhdestvensky and Melodiya. This was the update of the Kondrashin cycle. This is a digital recording in screechy early Melodiya, Russian, glary, harsh digital. Originally, it was kind of unlistenable. For some reason, on these remasterings, it's sort of more tolerable. There's also lots of other stuff in here, film suites and all kinds of other Shostakovich doodads, odds and ends, which had never been recorded before. The performances themselves are scorchers. They're hair-raising. They are noisy and unsubtle and crude and just everything you sort of love in classic Soviet-style Russian orchestral performances. They really are remarkable. Of course, it helps that, for example, in the 11th Symphony, Rozhdestvensky adds some tam-tam swats. I mean, tam-tams improve everything. They should use them in the Bach St. Matthew Passion, too. I don't know why not. Anyway, this is a very exciting cycle, a very annoying recorded sound. So whether you can find it, whether you still would want to hear it, I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, I'm happy to know it. I don't take it out and play it all that often, to be honest, because it's just so fatiguing, on the ear. But it's a blistering hot bunch of records if you could find them. Next, here we go, Rostropovich, also done with a couple of orchestras, mostly the London Symphony and the National Symphony Orchestra of Washington, D.C. Now, the Washington performances are, on the whole, better than the ones he did in the UK. Especially Symphony like number 10 is so boring and disappointing. It's such a pity because the rest of them are really very, 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 very good. I mean, obviously, Rostropovich knew the music like no one else. And you do get, in this set, the Russian 14th with Galina Vishnevskaya in top form. I mean, that is a hair-raising performance, and that's included in this set, too. But, he did a great 5th. He did a great 8th. I like his 15th. I mean, Rostropovich knew the music. He knew it very well. He was never a great conductor, though. I mean, that was the problem, and he was very defensive about it. And, I mean, I talked to him about it on various occasions. He did try to stick to repertoire he knew. And when he did, every so often, he just caught fire. And I saw him do a Mahler Second Symphony that was absolutely extraordinary. It was phenomenal. He could do things. He was such a great musician, is what he was. But as a conductor, he had his ups and his downs. But generally speaking, if you ignore sort of the worst of the LSO ones, then it's really a very fine cycle. I mean, Leningrad was very good. The 5th is he does that really slow coda that's very, very powerful. He actually recorded that for Deutsche Grammophon first initially, but this is a new recording. They're good performances. The 4th also is very good. I can't complain about anything except those couple of dull things that he did with the London Symphony. I mean, I wish he would have been better. I wish he were more consistent. It really would have been just fantastic. But there you go. It's what happens with complete cycles. It's why you're sometimes better going piece by piece. Next, Rudolf Barshai. This was originally released on Brilliant Classics. I think it still is. This was a WDR, Deutsche Rundfunk recording from Cologne. And these are wonderful performances by and large. Barshai was an elegant conductor. He made those arrangements of the chamber symphonies, which are fabulous, out of the string quartets. He could be somewhat, I think a little bit underplaying some of the music's more expressionist moments. But there is no point in this whole cycle where he puts a foot wrong. You can't ever say it's not lively, it's not fresh, the tempos aren't up to snuff. It's really a very, very fine cycle, and it's very, very well recorded. It does have the most scarifying performance of Babi Yar that has ever been done by anybody. The opening movement is unbelievable. I was listening to it with my friend, Christophe Huss, the music critic up in France at Le Devoir, and I remember I put on the opening of Babi Yar, and he just looked at me and said, "That's death," and boy, is it ever! It's just a heartrending performance. And Barshai, of course, was known for his versions of the 14th Symphony, and he recorded the 8th earlier for EMI too, I think in Bournemouth. So, he was a Shostakovich conductor born and bred, and this is really the most remarkably consistent cycle, or one of two actually, out there. So you can't go wrong, and the price is dirt cheap, and it really will be great. Whether you'll agree with the interpretations of each work, of course, is a personal thing, but it's a damn good cycle. However, more recently, Naxos has ridden to the rescue with Vasily Petrenko and the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic in what, for my money, is absolutely the most consistent Shostakovich cycle currently available. These are all fine performances. They are wonderfully recorded, wonderfully played, exciting, brilliantly interpreted by and large. There may be some you like more than others. In number 15, I don't think Petrenko is really at his best. I think he's a little too fresh and youthful for that work. But my goodness, these are fine, exciting performances in all the places that mattered. All the big important symphonies like number 8, number 10 is sensational. This is a reference version of number 10. He just nails it. And so if you're looking for a single Shostakovich cycle that gives you all of the symphonies in performances that really, really can't be bettered as a group, as a whole, then Petrenko on Naxos is the way to go. It's a superb, superb effort. And again, the price is unbeatable. So it's a great way to get all of your Shostakovich in one package. However, there is another one that has just been released, Michael Sanderling on Sony. I haven't heard it yet. I've heard some of it. What I've heard is very promising and also quite distinctive, not like everybody else. And it seems like he has ideas. This is with the Dresdner Philharmonie, and I'm looking forward to hearing it because I think it could be quite special. So that's basically the roundup of Shostakovich Symphony cycles. Once again, at this point, at this date, the way to go is Petrenko on Naxos. It's the best, most consistent cycle that money can buy, and it's that simple. So this gives you plenty of reason to keep on listening. Thank you, and take care.